Hey, it's JT the Fire Pit Guy, and here we are at Mountain Cowboy today. We're going to talk to the proprietor, the owner, designer, Mountain Cowboy. Content directly related to fire pits is important, but so is content that actually surrounds fire pits. Craft breweries have been popping up all over Colorado as well as the rest of the United States. Many craft breweries have fire pits, and drinking beer around a fire has almost become an American pastime. The association between beer and fire is not only fascinating, but I think it's worth digging into. Hopefully, you all appreciate this kind of content. Please feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. Met a couple good old boys over here having a couple of beers. What kind of beers you guys have?
The Belgian Amber.
Yeah, both of you guys have those? Are they good?
Yeah.
Have you had them before?
It's the first time here.
First time here? Just how many? Just first beer or more than one?
Maybe second or third.
Maybe second or third. A little fireside chat, no fire. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, so I'm here, JT the Fire Pit Guy, at Mountain Cowboy Brewery today, and I'm sitting here with Ron Jovich, the owner of this awesome new establishment. He and his wife opened up this place, so what?
Right about 4 months ago.
4 months ago. That's awesome. So anyway, Mountain Cowboy. How did you ever come up with the concept, and why did you want to open up a brewery?
Yeah, the concept came from. So we started the hops farm about 10 years ago, and started selling hops to local breweries and Coors here in Colorado as well, and always wanted to take the next step and open the brewery in conjunction with the hops farm. The plan originally was to open the brewery at the hops farm, kind of a farm to table kind of a thing. And when we finally sat down to write the plan for the brewery and do the demographic work, we decided that we were kind of in a secluded area with the farm, and we needed a place to establish our brand. We needed a place with a little more visibility and foot traffic, and so we set about a 10-mile radius from the farm, and that's how we ended up here in the downtown of little Frederick, Colorado.
Had you ever been to Frederick before you actually kind of scouted?
We had not. We like we said, we set a 10-mile radius and started driving around and came through this little town. We lived in Parker for 24 years, and when we pulled into this little town, it reminded us of Parker 20 years ago.
It does kind of look like a downtown Parker. Huh?
Yeah. Early on Parker,
mini version, sure.
And we started talking to people and started getting some of the information as far as the demographics, and it sounds like this place is about ready to explode like Parker did and like Highlands Ranch.
Yeah.
So I think we're in the right spot for growth for sure.
So Mountain Cowboy, where did that come from?
Mountain Cowboy is so we grew up in Wyoming. Michelle and I both grew up in Wyoming, so and we both went to the University of Wyoming. That's kind of the cowboy part of it, and then the mountains are a Colorado thing. So our roots are started in Wyoming, and now we've lived in Colorado actually longer than we ever lived in Wyoming.
Sure.
So the mountain part of it represents kind of the Colorado roots for us. Mountains represent kind of outdoors and being one with nature and environmentally friendly and things like that, which we're trying to do the best we can here. Manage our carbon footprint and things like that. Cowboys represent, hard work and just good old fashioned integrity.
Everybody loves cowboy.
Everybody loves a cowboy. So that's kind of how the Mountain Cowboy kind of evolved into that, and it just kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit. And we're in cowboy country here. There's a lot of farmers and ranchers out here, a lot of cowboys. People ride up on their horses actually here.
I see a lot of pickup trucks around.
A lot of pickups.
Yeah. You might need to get a bigger parking lot.
Yeah, it's a downtown, so there's not a whole lot of parking here. It's a lot of street parking, and that is an issue down here. Sure. The town's working on it. Their master plan calls for some parking lots being built around here.
Sure. As far as beer goes, how and when did you start making beer, and why?
I started homebrewing back in college because I thought I could make beer cheaper than I could buy beer.
Yeah.
It never
so in
worked
college,
out.
what did you do in the bathtub or something?
Just in in my sink, and boiled a pot on the stove and had a carboy in the garage. Blew it up a couple times, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
but it's everybody starts out. You start out thinking that it's going to be the cheaper way to go, and you can make your own beer and have a bunch of it sitting around, and it ends up costing you thousands of dollars to get all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then you
give a lot of it away.
You give a lot away, or you make bad beer and you have to dump it.
Sure.
And then you start having, get married and you start having kids, and then you don't have time to brew anymore. And so then the stuff sat in my crawl space for years and got dusty, and I sold it all at a garage sale. And didn't even think about it again for about 5 years. And then 5 years later, I thought, I think I want to start making beer again. So then I had to go rebuy all this stuff.
Sure. So that's the only little cottage industry these days. Home brewing, versus even here is a brand new exploding industry.
It is. There's 306 as of today. I think there's 360 craft breweries in Colorado right now, and there's another 60 to 70 that are slated to open before the end of June.
Yeah.
So it's still growing fast. I think the growth rate itself has started to slow down a little bit, but it's still growing fast.
Out of all the beers you've brewed here and even in the past, what's your favorite?
You're drinking my favorite beer. It's our Amber Ale.
Amber Ale. Cheers, man. It's really good.
Thank you very much. We call that our estate beer. So at our hops farm, we grow 6 different varieties of hops, and we put all 6 of them into that beer.
Does that end up being the most popular here?
Our most popular right now is our Saison.
Which one's that?
It's a light kind of orange peel Saison beer.
Okay.
It's more of a summer beer to me, but in the dead of winter, it's been our best seller by leaps and bounds.
Yeah, did it kind of surprise you that turned out to be the best?
Very much so. The issue that we have here, we're one of the few craft breweries around this area, and so a lot of people came in here. They want to try the new place in town. Well, they're not craft beer drinkers. They're Bud Light drinkers or Coors Light drinkers. So they come in and say, "What do you have that's closest to that?"
Yeah.
And when we first opened, we had 4 or 5 beers on tap, and that was the one that we had that was closest to that.
Sure.
And so people started drinking it, they liked it, and then I think it just stuck with them, and now that's their beer that they go to.
Nice.
Some of them we get to try other beers, but some of them that's what they drink now. It's the Saison.
I have some friends, when I take them out to a craft brewery, they order the lightest thing they have, usually a Kolsch or something like that, and it kind of looks like Bud Light to them.
Yep. Yeah, we get that question a lot. So we did make a Pilsner, and our Pilsner is actually starting to climb into that #1 spot, and I think over the course of the summer, I think our Pilsner will actually overtake that. We're actually just getting ready to go out into distribution. We've only sold through our tap room for the last 4 months, but starting next week, we're going to actually start putting kegs in restaurants.
Okay.
And the Pilsner is one of the first ones that we're going to go out with. The Amber Ale, the Tropical Tundra, those are some of the beers. They're just enough unique and different than what's out there right now that I think they'll do okay on taps in other places.
Do they find you, or do you have to send somebody out to try to be a sales guy to generate that channel?
Yeah, a little of both.
Yeah.
A little of both. We've had most of the local restaurants here. They've all come in and tried our beers and said, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
We've actually had, I had the CFO of Bad Daddy Burgers in here the other day, and he tried a bunch of our beers, and he said he'd love to get us on in some of their local places here. So there's some organic stuff that happens that way, but there's also just some knocking on doors and cold calling and saying, hey, we're ready to put some beers in.
How about cans? That's kind of a new thing for microbreweries, is to can their own beer.
We're working on that. We're actually headed to Nashville this week for the Craft Brewers Conference. And we're going to talk to several different manufacturers of canning lines, and the growler is a big thing right now. If you're familiar with that, we sell growlers here, glass bottles. Yeah. Growler is just a aluminum can that you fill and seal right here on site.
Sure.
But a lot of the new growler machines actually will do the 32-ounce growlers to go, but we can also do 16 and 12-ounce cans and make 4-packs and 6-packs. And sell those right here out of our own tap room as well to go. So that's kind of our next step in the packaging phase.
Nice. So beyond that, where do you want to take this?
The ultimate plan, our business plan, called for us to take basically this model and move it into other locations. So your local neighborhood tap room. That's where our best margins are. That's where the beer is the best. It's the freshest. It's the coldest. We have control over it. We know our lines are clean. We know it's carbonated to the right amount. We know it's the right temperature when it's served. As soon as you put it in a keg and take it to another restaurant, you're at the mercy of that restaurant to hope that they clean their lines properly and that your beer's going to the customer the same as they're getting it here.
Yeah.
And so you lose a little control at that point. And so the model that we've established is basically when the time is right to take this and move it into a new location.
Okay.
And for us, it makes sense for us to move ideally into like a mountain location next. That would be ideal for us.
That'll do it for this episode. In the next episode, we'll get into the fire pit that they have at Mountain Cowboy and talk about fire pits at craft breweries. Until then, you know what to do. Spark your flame, share your stoke. Take care, everyone.